Welcome to Storyflix. In this video, we will explain Horimiya. This series tells the story of two different high school students, an academically successful schoolgirl and a quiet loser schoolboy. They turned out to have something in common, in hiding their other nature from others. This is what makes their relationship even closer. How will their story unfold? Will they be involved in a love affair? Let's find out in Horimiya. Horimiya tells a story of a beautiful young girl named Yoko Hori. Not only is she beautiful, but she is smart. So she became one of the popular girls at school. Her beautiful appearance is the main attraction. When Yoko was about to enter the classroom, several male students looked at her. In class, she is greeted by two close friends, Toru Ishikawa and Yuki Yoshikawa. When Yoko was sitting on the bench and they were joking, Toru kept staring at Yoko several times, and it is clear that he secretly had feelings for his best friend. Before the day's lesson started, Yoko accidentally dropped the eraser on the floor. A male student who was walking stopped to take the eraser. Izumi Miyamura is a male student with long hair covering half of his face. After picking up Yoko's fallen eraser, Izumi sat down at his desk in the corner of the classroom, by the window. Apparently, he was a quiet student and rarely socialized with other friends. Toru jokes that no one knows Izumi because he has never done anything that attracts attention since entering school. For some reason, Toru's words caught Yoko's attention. During the lesson, Yoko looked at Izumi several times. She seemed curious to know more about her classmate. The scene changes when Yoko comes home from school. Yoko's house looks big and comfortable. Once home, Yoko immediately changed her clothes and her appearance. This time, the long hair left loose in class was tied into a ponytail. After that, she started cleaning the house, which looked very messy. Using a vacuum cleaner, she swept the entire house. She then wiped the table, folded clothes, and dusted between the closets. After that, her work was not finished. She leaves the house and heads to a kindergarten school. Apparently, she picked up her younger brother, Sauta Hori. Yoko's life at home is very different from that at school, where she is a popular student admired by many students. At home, she has to replace the mother role for Sauta. Not only by cleaning the house, but by dropping off and picking up her younger brother from school. Even though she wants to play around like other high school students, she has a big responsibility to look after the house. Yoko did the job with pleasure. But on the other hand, she apparently doesn't want her schoolmates to know her true state at home. Neighbors who know that Sauta only lives with Yoko one day called Yoko. The neighbor told her that she saw Sauta with a strange man. The man is said to have the appearance of a delinquent due to the many piercings on his body. Hearing the news, Yoko was worried and she was afraid that Shota would be kidnapped. But before the phone was turned off, the doorbell rang. She hurriedly opened the door and saw Shota standing with blood running from his nose in front of the door. Shota is not alone, and he was with a man who did have a lot of piercings on his ears and lips. The man apparently drove Shota home. After making sure the man wasn't a bad person, Yoko invited him into the house. As an expression of gratitude for taking Shota home, when her brother had a nosebleed, she prepared a drink for him. Shota, Yoko, and the man chatted at the dining table intimately. That's when the man suddenly said he knew Yoko. But she denied it because she had no friends with the appearance like him. The man then introduced himself as Izumi Miyamura, her classmate who was quiet and never showed his face. Yoko was even more surprised after he introduced himself. She couldn't believe that Izumi, who looked like a nerd at school, actually looked like a delinquent outside of school. He convinces her that he is Izumi Miyamura, and she finally believes. The next day at school, Izumi's appearance returns to normal. He was sitting in a chair by the window with long hair covering his face. Meanwhile, Yoko, who still didn't expect Izumi's other appearance, continued to stare at him from her seat. Unbelievable by the previous day's events, Yoko went to Izumi's chair and greeted him, making him lift his head and reveal his face. She asks him to talk to her outside of class. Yoko again expresses disbelief at the difference in Izumi's appearance at school and home. Izumi explains that he only looks like that outside of school. In addition, he then said that he thought she would be afraid of him after seeing his delinquent appearance yesterday. Izumi's worries are apparently not without reason. He explained that previously, when his friends found out about his appearance outside of school, they were afraid. Yoko insists she is not afraid of him because of his appearance. On the other hand, she is happy because they have something in common. They both have secrets that others don't want to know. Another side of themselves is hidden. Yoko's words made Izumi smile. He felt happy and thanked her because he had socialized with classmates for the first time. Yoko and Izumi became close. They often meet every time after school. Shota asked Yoko to invite her friend back then, so she invited Izumi to stop by the house. While Yoko cleans the house and washes the dishes, Izumi will look after Shota. He played with Shota and read him a book. Izumi's personality is apparently very different from his delinquent appearance. He quickly became familiar with Shota and even brought Shota's favorite cake when he visited. Izumi didn't just become close to Shota. At home, between cleaning activities, Yoko and Izumi often talk. They became closer to each other. Yoko noticed Izumi was watching her because she knew a few things about him. But Izumi's surprise didn't stop there. One night when Yoko is preparing dinner, Izumi reveals his tattoo. He then lifted the shirt and showed the tribal tattoo wrapped around his side. He apparently really likes tattoos. The tattoo made Yoko feel scared. She told him that she understood and accepted why he had a tattoo. She then said that everyone has the right to do whatever they like. At school, Yoko and Izumi are close friends. This could not be separated from the observations of Yoko's two friends, Toru and Yuki. Yuki saw Yoko and Izumi chatting near the classroom window. Toru, who suddenly came and saw the closeness of Yoko and Izumi, felt jealous. They then greeted Yoko and they all chatted happily. But Toru came to Izumi, standing alone, to ask if he and Yoko were dating. Izumi replied that they had nothing to do with it. On the same day, Toru and Izumi skipped gym class. They were sitting alone while watching their friends exercise in the field. Toru asked Izumi why he always wears long sleeves, no matter how hot he is. Izumi finally confesses the truth, telling him about the tattoos on his body. He then showed a row of piercing holes in the ears and lips. Toru is surprised because Izumi is not what he thought. Toru said that at first, he thought he was a gloomy person and didn't want to socialize. This other side of him makes Toru interested and wants to be close friends with him. Izumi begins to open up to Toru and they become close friends. Even Toru reveals the feelings he has for Yoko. After school, Yoko invites Izumi to go home together. However, he refuses and allows Toru to confess his love for Yoko. Izumi said he would pick up Shota and take care of the house. Toru finally talks to Yoko and says he has feelings for her. As expected, she rejects Toru's declaration of love. Izumi was almost late to pick up Shota, so he hurriedly left. That's when he accidentally met Yuki. Luckily Yuki didn't recognize him because his appearance was completely different. Yoko gets angry with Izumi at home after knowing that Toru knows about his secret and she doesn't want others to know about the secret. Yoko's anger shows how jealous she is when the other side of Izumi is known by others. They argue with each other and she finally shows that she actually has feelings for him. The next day at school, Yoko is in the student committee room with two other students who are the administrators. She apparently is a member of the student committee, where every day, she gets assignments from her senior named Horimiya Asaki. Horimiya is dating Kakeru Sengoku, Yoko's childhood friend and student committee chairperson. When handing over the task for the day from Horimiya, Yoko and Kakeru seem close. Horimiya accidentally bumps into Izumi in the schoolyard, causing the file she was carrying scattered to fall to the ground. But strangely, she didn't care about the fallen files and just left. The scene moves back to the school building the next day. In the hallway of the school, the students were seen swarming. They saw Kakeru scolding Yoko, who was considered not to carry out her duties as a student committee member properly because she neglected to take care of the files given. Izumi heard that and immediately remembered the file Horimiya left after colliding with him yesterday. He turned out of the school building and looked for the file in the schoolyard. Luckily he managed to find the file among the bushes. Izumi ventured to give the file. But before that, he looked for Kakeru. He met Kakeru in the school hallway and immediately beat him. When Yoko came over after hearing the commotion, Izumi said he hit him out of annoyance at seeing Yoko being scolded. The fight with Kakeru was apparently not the only one. The next day Izumi then fights with Toru because of Yoko. After hitting Izumi, Toru instead checked to see if he was okay. The fight made their friendship even closer. On the other hand, Izumi and Yoko become closer. He always came to Yoko's house after school and they would eat together. They try to get close and intertwine hands. After holding hands, Yoko was about to express her feelings for him when suddenly the house door opened. Apparently, Yoko's mother, Yuriko Hori, came home with some groceries after picking up Shota. The atmosphere became awkward when Yuriko saw Yoko alone with a boy. Then Yoko introduced Izumi to her mother. Yuriko looked a little scared of Izumi because of his appearance. After hearing more about him, Yuriko finally believed he was a good person. She then allows Izumi to be friends with Yoko and Shota. The scene changed a few days later. Yoko was seen sleeping with a thick blanket. She is holding a thermometer that shows a number with a high temperature. Apparently, she is sick and has a fever. Yoko's condition worries Izumi. He comes to visit her and accompanies her into the room. He tries to take care of her and gives her a drink. Yoko's condition, who had a fever, often made her mutter. Yoko talks about her past, where she was always alone because her parents worked. She was crying, and Izumi tried to calm her down. When she was sleeping, Izumi said that he loved her. But actually, she doesn't sleep and hears Izumi's declaration of love. She immediately woke up, looking at the door, where he had left the room. At his house, Izumi is sleeping when his friend from middle school, Koichi Shindu, suddenly arrives. Koichi is the only friend he had in middle school. So their friendship is very close. The flashback scene shows Izumi's time in middle school. At the time, Izumi had no friends. In fact, he was ostracized by other students at school. He then felt inferior, as if he didn't have anything of value. One night, while looking at his reflection in the mirror at the study table, he decided to do something he really enjoyed, change his appearance. He believed that his life would change if he did what he liked. Returning to Izumi's room, Koichi was happy to see that Izumi had changed. He is getting happier knowing Izumi is not what he used to be, and he already has a close relationship with a beautiful girl, Yoko. Yoko sneaks slowly into the classroom at school, and she is apparently embarrassed after hearing Izumi's feelings for her the previous day. Yoko tries to avoid Izumi, but meets him on the school grounds. He suddenly surprised Yoko, who was peeking to find out where he was. He actually knew that night she was not sleeping. But despite knowing that, he didn't say anything to her. On the other hand, she quickly left school. After school, as usual, Izumi came to Yoko's house. They sat conversing together in chairs, and a new surprise appeared. Yoko's father, Yasuke Hori, suddenly arrives. He spoke bluntly and started asking questions about the relationship between Yoko and Izumi. Yoko initially refused to talk about it, even Izumi looked embarrassed. But their attitude actually confirms the feelings they have for each other. Yoko tells her father that Izumi is her boyfriend. When she drives Izumi home from her house that night, they are finally dating. On the other side of the school, Toru looks sad because his feelings for Yoko are unrequited. He then came to the student committee room and met one of the members, Sakura Kono. Sakura, quiet and shy, apparently managed to cheer up Toru until he became cheerful again. The scene shifted to Izumi, who was conversing with Yasuke. Yasuke asked what he liked about Yoko. Izumi was shy at first, but finally answered firmly that he liked Yoko's side for who she was and how she didn't judge someone by their appearance. The next day at school, news of Yoko and Izumi's relationship spread. Almost all the students talk about Yoko dating Izumi. The news apparently did not make all the students at the school happy. They actually think Izumi and Yoko are not compatible. Yoko didn't care about the opinion of her friends, but Izumi actually felt angry, and finally, he decided to do an extreme thing. The next day at school, Yoko is shocked to see Izumi's new appearance. He cut his long hair short and took off his usual glasses. Izumi's appearance became that of a cool student. The new appearance makes the students' opinions at school change regarding Izumi and Yoko's relationship. Izumi was not avoided by his classmates anymore. Even the girls at the school started to approach him. They went to Izumi's desk to take a photo of him. Meanwhile, Yoko and Izumi's relationship is getting closer. They are free together at school because they no longer hide their relationship. After school, after Koichi gave candy to Izumi and Yoko, Izumi kissed Yoko for the first time. The scene shifts to Toru and Yuki. Yuki apparently knows Toru is close to Sakura, and she feels annoyed. After Toru lent her a uniform to cover the stains on Sakura's uniform, Sakura gave him a cake to express gratitude. In class, Toru brings the cake and tells Yuki he got it from Sakura. Yuki is getting sadder and feels she is not worth being with him. On the other side of the class, Izumi and Yoko were sitting together. Their relationship is very close, like inseparable. However, another side of Yoko is revealed when they are watching a movie together. Previously, Yoko's friends warned her to behave gently like a girl when she was with Izumi. While watching a movie, another side of Yoko is revealed, and she behaves like a boy. Izumi was shocked and frightened, which made her feel embarrassed. He then tells her that he loves her the way she is. Yoko and Izumi are with Kakeru in the student committee room at school. They talk about the sports festival that will be held at the school. Later at the festival, they will compete in sports agility. At the festival, their school life becomes more colorful. Yuki sees Sakura will join the cheerleading club. Despite knowing they are rivals for Toru's love, Yuki helps Sakura train. On the other hand, Yoko and Izumi are getting more intimate. Even Izumi often makes out with Yoko in the presence of other friends. Apparently, this was done by Izumi, not without reason. He wants to show a classmate, Mizauchi, who likes Yoko. Even though Yoko rejects Mizauchi's declaration of love, Izumi still wants to prove to him that he is worthy of being with Yoko. At the basketball game, Mizauchi and Izumi compete. Izumi managed to win, making Mizauchi admit he was worthy of being with Yoko. In the dream, Izumi sees himself in the past. Unlike in the past, he has a friend and the most precious person in his life this time. He was no longer alone, and he believed that no one was destined to be alone. The scene moves back to school the next day. This time Yuki tells Toru and his friends that someone just said feelings to her. The person apparently asked Yuki to be his girlfriend. She didn't know how to refuse that person's declaration of love, so that he wouldn't bother her again. Izumi then suggested that Yuki pretend to have a boyfriend. Toru hears about the proposal and offers to pretend to be Yuki's boyfriend. Yuki feels awkward because she secretly likes Toru. She agreed, and they met a male student who confessed his feelings for Yuki. Yuki comes with Toru and introduces him as a boyfriend. She returns awkwardly when Toru starts to act sweet and says that she is indeed his girlfriend. Unbeknownst to them, Sakura saw Toru and Yuki from the window in the classroom hall. She saw them holding hands because they were still pretending to be dating. She then looked for Yuki, and they met on the stairs. Sakura asks about Toru and Yuki's relationship, and Yuki lies, saying that she and Toru are dating. The lie apparently made Yuki feel guilty, and then she meets Horimiya at a cafe and asks for advice. Unfortunately, Horimiya's advice didn't make her feel any better. The scene changes again, showing Yoko and Izumi coming home from school together. Unexpectedly, a group of male students blocked their way. They are Izumi's old friends, one of whom is named Tanahara. Tanahara is a friend who used to ostracize Izumi in middle school. No wonder Izumi hates him right now. The flashback scene shows Izumi was ostracized by his friends for forgetting to feed the school's pet rabbit. In fact, the one who forgot to feed was Tanahara. When he meets Izumi again, he feels guilty for what happened in the past. But he didn't dare say that. In class, Toru finds out what happened between Yuki and Sakura. Toru invites Yuki to talk alone on the roof. He reveals that he actually doesn't like Sakura. Instead, he likes Yuki. Yuki thought Toru's words were just a joke. Finally, Toru convinced her that he seriously liked her. They started a relationship as a couple. In the afternoon, Izumi was about to start odd jobs when Tanahara suddenly appeared. He apologizes to Izumi for what happened in the past. Unexpectedly, Izumi was not angry and said that humans are like that. Both of them felt relieved because they could continue to live without the burdens of the past. While sleeping at night, Yoko dreams of breaking up with Izumi. This made her try not to get into trouble with her boyfriend. She was worried. At school, Yoko's worries increase when Izumi keeps avoiding her. She kept trying to get closer, but he gave reasons to keep going away. Yoko is feeling very sad. But apparently, Izumi's actions had a reason. He is preparing a surprise and doesn't want her to know. At home, Izumi cooks and bakes cakes for Yoko to celebrate Christmas. Yoko was relieved that her dream didn't come true. Izumi celebrates Christmas at Yoko's house with her parents and brother. They are very happy. But the problem doesn't just go away. Yoko and Izumi were walking around looking at the lights on Christmas Day when they realized they would separate after graduating from school. She refused and asked to continue with him. Then Izumi asked Yoko to marry him. Later after graduation, Izumi will work at his mother's cake shop to have his own income. Horimiya ended by showing Izumi alone on the school roof. He brought a flower for Yoko and a graduation letter. The image of his past self comes, and Izumi is finally determined to completely leave his past behind. The moral that can be learned from this series is not to judge someone by their appearance. And love knows no form or shape.